Faisal AlShimmari brings with him 30 years of experience as a seasoned Emirati leader. He has extensive experience in the realm of government, strategy, digital transformation, cybersecurity, and sustainable finance. He has spearheaded transformative initiatives in the domain of digitalization, AI, public safety, and security. He also has experience in governance, risk management, information security, excellence, and innovation.
I had an accident, and that accident was
Salamat.
a life-changing accident. Being in a wheelchair for a while and then
Ya
crutches,
Allah.
that was an evolution to me. It made me prioritize agriculture and farming and nature, focusing on I would call it sustainability journey. And moving forward, joining Mashreq as Head of Risk Strategies and Governance correlate with my previous experience in the police as a Head of Governance or Executive Director of Digital Transformation and AI, or even Excellence Assessor. The leadership in Mashreq gave me an opportunity to expedite my journey and engagement, and alhamdulillah, I was up to the challenge. And our successful participation in COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt in 2022, I think was career-changing, with our group CEO emphasizing that I should be more engaged on ESG and sustainability. And then ESG evolved into an EXCO role, and documenting my role during that following year into delivering this and embedding both ESG and corporate strategy was a clear message and direction to me from our leadership that we need to work together accumulatively to change our corporate DNA to achieve sustainability in multifacets and multi-layer of operation and changing business as usual.
And you
to meet
have,
that.
and you have. SubhanAllah, how sometimes something negative and something so difficult, literally something that broke a big part of who you are, gave birth to something else in a beautiful way, subhanallah. But that's an testament to you as a character, because other people go through this and just feel defeated. But mashallah, you found a way to come back and to find passion in the darkest time. So I commend you for that. It's not easy at all. And I'm sure you will inspire many people, and I'm sure you meet a lot of people. I would love to know if there's a story, a touching story you'd like to share with our listeners that really left an impact on you.
My engagement on child protection, I was honored to be part of the team who wrote Wadima Law, and I was the founding director of the Ministry of Interior Child Protection Center. Among other laws and regulations that I worked on with several entities like Ministry of Justice and distinguished strategic partners back in the days, the evolution and the human centricity that we have and the passion from our leadership is something unparalleled. When we had Wadima incident, a human stigma in any criminal history, we had the leadership of the UAE stepping forward and instructing to have Wadima as a beacon for us not to allow to happen again. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid changing the law name and instructing to expedite the journey of issuing the law and labeling it Wadima Child Rights Law was a message.
Incredible. Powerful.
Not again. We need to prevent this from happening. The leadership engagement and their support and their human centricity approach is a lesson to everyone. Today, we have the label ESG, environment, social, and governance. In the government sector, we have the SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. I see them as two facets of the same coin. But the message from the UAE to everyone else is human centricity. At the end, if you do adopt the best practices in sustainability from an environmental perspective, what is the core of doing this? Why do we invest in it? The core is to make the well-being and the happiness of the public and the people as your core objective.
Yeah.
At the end, this is the end of your journey. If you don't add value to human life and well-being and increase and enhance their quality of life and their happiness, what's the point of sustainability in general?
If you don't protect the most vulnerable of us, then what are we doing? For those who are listening who would like to know more, can you explain what the Wadima Law is? Can you explain very briefly what it is?
Sure. Wadima Law is one of the unique child rights law in the region. it's a reflection of our commitment religiously, culturally, and legally, plus international best practices and child rights convention and our international commitment. Some people might say this is a westernized approach. No, it's not. If we look at our Islamic history and our culture, 1,400 years ago, the story of Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, the second Khalifa, and the Sahabi, with a youth, a man who was mistreating his father. When the father complained, Sayyidina Umar was about to punish, يعزر أو يقيم التعزير on, as a Khalifa, on that individual. Because the father complained, he's not doing good with his father and he's neglecting him any care that he should provide. So when the son came, he asked Sayyidina Umar to listen to him. He said, what would be your justification
of this behavior
to justify that? So the youth said, what are the son's right on his father?
إيش حقه؟
So he said, one, he need to select the mother. The selection was bad. He need to select a name. His name was Ju'al, which is
bad name.
An insect. And then he talked about educating him, teaching him religion, spending on him, taking care of him, etc., etc. And the child was neglected in all those
No wonder هو
pillars
طلع كده,
of child rights. So Sayyidina Umar said, if you are not an elder, I should punish you. And that was a message 1,400 years ago in a society that just moved from pre-Islamic era to Islamic era. To show, yes.
Yeah.
So if we look at this, it reflects also on the SDGs and ESG, our social component, and the governance. The social component is all about human centricity. And rights, the rights of vulnerable groups such as children, women, and elders, and people of special need is a beacon. If we look at Islamic finance or Islamic financial system, Sadaqah and Waqf, today we have it in different names and brands in Europe. We have donations, charities, NGOs.
Which is an integrated part of our responsibilities to society.
Yes.
In our religion.
Yeah. And if you look at the amount of homeless people or people without medical care or people struggling to live with basic minimum humanitarian requirement, and we look at our culture, our religion, our ethics, we don't accept seeing someone in need.
Absolutely not.
And even if someone is doing bad deeds to us, still our open hearts is to approach them and accept them and tolerate. And tolerance is a significant signature of in the UAE. If we look also at other aspects of ES and G, we can look at the interrelation and the correlation between it and the Sustainable Development Goals. Fighting poverty. Fighting poverty is a core in the financial system, in Islamic culture and history and religion framework. In addition, addressing the underprivileged families is a core service to be delivered. All of us, we look at opportunities like Ramadan or Eid or Hajj and Arafah and even before or during the whole year, we see how we are approaching to address this. We are not linking it and branding it as we should.
Yeah.
What I believe in, we should market it and we should talk about it. During COP28, I had an opportunity with the UNGCC and we talked about ESG. And we mentioned that pillar, that it's part of the Islamic finance and ecosystem.
Absolutely.
A Brazilian journalist was shocked and she wrote something in Portuguese and she mentioned my name. And we had a chat on LinkedIn and we took it forward. And she was shocked.
It's
and
amazing
she
how they don't realize this is a core pillar of our Islamic following. Like this is a core in الصدقة غير الصدقة, okay? الكرم. You don't let someone needing, you don't leave someone around you who is in a bad state. It's a core part of who we are.
It's our DNA.
Yes, absolutely. فأنتوا دحين عززتوه. You gave it more strength and more platform.
Yes.
But I have to admit, I never thought about it in a way that it's part of sustainability.
It is.
I never thought about taking care of those who need caring is part of sustainability, which is absolutely true. We're a resource.
And
thank you for teaching me this.
Thank
This
you.
is so interesting to me. Like, I love when I meet a guest who teaches me something. We want sustainability in everything else. Why not in the most valuable research? Us.
Even in
humans.
afforestation and agriculture and environment.
It's linked.
The Prophet say when he said, if you have a small palm tree or a seedling in your hand, and end of days come, which means khalas, no more life
That's
as we
it.
know it, still
Tishfa'lak.
you should plant it.
Yeah.
That message from the Prophet was way before talking about carbon market
Before
and
the
carbon
words-
credit
before the
and
words
afforestation. Yes.
Yeah.
So late Sheikh Zayed 60 years ago, when he developed and started distributing farms, before anyone talks about carbon credit and afforestation, he had a specific indigenous trees enforced to be planted in any farm. And if you don't have that number, according to the square meter of the land you have, you will not get the subsidies and the support from the government.
شوف,
So
look,
he had the
بغض النظر.
credit and the carrot and the
Future.
stick,
Yeah.
which enforce that mindset change.
But it's great management because
Yes.
you're building for the future. Because at the time, everyone, I'm sure, assumed, what is this? Why are you doing this? Because, what's the for? But subhanAllah, he had foresight. Let's go back to sustainability a little bit, because I'm still shocked that I never realized that. But I would love to know a bit more about the relationship between sustainability and Mashreq, because they gave you a platform for you to exercise your championing voice for it. But I would love to know what's Mashreq's approach.
Sure. In Mashreq, the leadership, as I said, when they brought ESG and corporate strategy together, the leadership objective was to create a DNA mutation, a positive DNA mutation or shift towards sustainability, and embedding ESG in any strategic activity. And that's a disruption, an emerging, challenging environment, which is very ambitious and spearheading the exercise regionally. In addition, the leadership of the bank reflected the commitment towards sustainability by committing to invest 110 billion dirham on sustainable finance by 2030, making us one of the leading banks
Incredible.
in the UAE and in the region. Part of the UAE announcement in COP28 committing to invest 1 trillion dirham on sustainable financing by 2030. Why? Without finance, without sustainable finance specifically, whether it's sustainable finance in the broader terminology or green or social, everything related to sustainability will remain a dream, a mere dream. Why? You need the enablers. And what's more key enabler that you need more than money?
Exactly.
Yani if you
Than
talk
the house of money.
Yeah, and if you talk about I want to buy a car and you don't have a money, what's your option? You have two options. Either you keep dreaming about it or you steal, which is illegal.
Let's not do that, everybody. You can dream about it,
Okay.
work hard,
Work
save
hard,
for a long time.
And then it will take you decades
It
to achieve.
took me around 15 years to save for my dream car.
See?
And it was 30 years old when I bought my car.
So when we talk about sustainable development goals and climate ambition and energy transition, we are talking about the trillions of dollars that is needed to
So
finance.
the only door you knock on is the bank.
Yeah. And government cannot be the only pillar to deliver that. It's an ecosystem, it's a cycle. So we need the government and we need the private sector. So we need to come up with something redefining the government, public and private sector partnership, or what we call PPP 2.0.
Let's talk about this more. What are ways that Mashreq is, let's say, incentivizing or helping the communities or its surroundings, its society, organization? How is it helping that? What are the incentives? What are the ways? Because let's face it, you can't change without making an effort to change, right? It doesn't happen out of randomly. It doesn't happen, especially change on this scale. So what are examples of Mashreq's effort in this?
First of all, our group CEO reflected that obligation and commitment on all the business groups and the supporting functions. So now it's part of their management business objective, and that's a huge shift.
Massive.
So enforcement from within. Moving forward, their engagement with our obligors or clients is evolving around sustainability centricity. So now it's a target on everyone. It's not a mere headline in a public publications or press release or news or media. No, it's an enforcement from within. Moving forward, we created our sustainable finance credit policy. We are building our enterprise, Mashreq enterprise sustainability and ESG framework, key strategic deliverables and activities on different groups, whether it's business or supporting functions. In addition, our group CEO is spearheading the exercise. We are one of the first banks in the region to develop a very transparent sustainable finance accounting methodology. Accounting methodology is reflecting transparently how much you seriously and honestly invested in sustainability. Because one of the challenges that other banks, although it's not a regulation in the UAE or the region yet.
It's not.
It's not yet. No. It's coming, but we are ahead of the game. In other financial institutions in other continents and other countries, they are facing challenges. They are accused of greenwashing. They are accused of double booking, which means you count the same dirham or dollar multiple times. And our GCO have zero tolerance against that. He doesn't allow it. So we are creating an ecosystem of transparency and accountability. And that's very ambitious and ahead of the game compared to other institutions. Specifically, the regulator didn't ask for it yet.
Yeah, you're leading by example without a stick.
Yes.
You're doing it because you believe in it.
Yes.
Which is a great beacon of change. And,
yes.
It's possible.
Definitely. And moving forward also, we are looking at our net zero targets. Whether it's SBTI or other commitment, we are benchmarking international best practices to have short-term target and long-term target to achieve net zero. Yes, it's a government obligation in all the countries we are operating in and elsewhere. But again, government alone cannot deliver this independently. We need to work as an ecosystem. We need to be positively engaged and enabling. And this will eventually have a huge impact on the financial sector and our obligors. And education is another area of challenge, specifically for SME. And our SME portfolio is growing, and our engagement and determination from my distinguished colleague in retail banking is to take that forward in a very proactive approach. Saying so, we are not committing to something impossible. But again, the experience of banking with Mashreq is totally different than others. So all of those activities and engagement are falling under our ESG strategy or marketing strategy, where we brand it as climb to change.
I love that, by the way. As a climber, I love the initiative.
It is.
Clearly, Mashreq has this vision and this direction. But one of my favorite that I'm a little bit biased because I'm a climber and it's part of my legacy as well, is your amazing effort with Climb to Change.
It's a comprehensive initiative addressing our commitment internally and to our obligors and clients externally, plus the communities where we operate. So addressing climate change in 14 of the highest mountains in the world, collecting waste and recycling it within the local community, showing a circular community or circular economy approach within the community, addressing the challenges related to climate change and the necessity of redefining our climate ambition with practical deliverables is a pillar. Plus, it's a message to everyone. As you mentioned, you are a climber, so I'm
a nature lover, but just it's an extra added cherry on top that it's mountains.
We need to have a higher ambition that we need to achieve personally, on a personal level or on a corporate level. And achieving those peaks for us, addressing sustainability as an objective and as a very core of our operation or day-to-day or business as usual, is a game changer. And Climb to Change is our message, showing and reflecting our commitment internally and externally to our obligors and clients, and also to the communities, is a key message that Mashreq is spearheading. we don't want to keep just posting things related to sustainability, net zero targets, numbers, and then we don't outreach to do something on the ground. And there are different initiatives in Mashreq. Climate change is the bigger umbrella. With it, we have nature saving account, we have the carbon calculator in our mobile apps, changing the behavior of the consumers and helping them spend more environmentally responsible, responsibly, is one of the game changers that we are adding value to the market.
I love it. You're not just, the Mashreq is not just saying this is what it wants to do. It's showing that this is what it's doing, right? It's easy to say and it's easy to crunch numbers, but you're actually showing in real life examples, and I love it. If you ever want someone to go and, you know, climb and clean a few things, I can dust my boots up and I'll go for you if you ever like. I'd love to be part of it. Not just because I'm a climber, but like I said, I'm a nature lover, and I love when initiatives can be tangible and seen. There's something about seeing something being clean and being changed positively. It makes you believe in your cause. It makes you believe that you as an individual can make a difference. So that's why personally I love it. In addition to all the really cool fancy things you said earlier, this is very special to me.
Plus, the engagement on carbon, reducing our carbon emission, achieving LEED certification for our headquarter, and recycling all the waste in the building, and getting all the international accreditation. Marketing those activities is not only marketing, it's also a message to our clients and obligors of our commitment towards sustainability and environment. And also, it's a benchmark enabler to other financial institutions and other corporate to adopt our practices. In addition, it's a message to the community of our commitment. So taking this forward is very strategic to us, and leading by example is coming from the top of the organization down.
Clearly. You mentioned something about education. You said that there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to education in the sustainability field. What's one thing you would love people to be more aware of?
Well, financial literacy is a challenging area. Lots of people have very minimum background on finance, etc., in general. And when we talk about climate risk, and we talk about the challenges some people are facing in states in America, for example, with mortgaging or issuing an insurance for a waterfront real estate, or a house in the middle of the wildlife or a forest because of the wildfire. That's a challenge, because once you buy, you are committed to pay. And if the insurance will stop insuring, the banks and the finance, it's a big liability. And if an accident happen or something, God forbid, you will lose.
The asset is gone.
So addressing climate risk is something coming. The Central Bank of the UAE is spearheading the exercise. Few months before the last rainstorm we had, with the highest ratio of rain in the history of the region and in the UAE, and it was more than 3 years in one day or less, and more than London for a few months in one day. So the central bank came and requested a stress testing or data related to climate risk on real estate and water flood
and damages.
This is showing us that yes, we have a very low probability of rain in the UAE, and the average rain it's a desert at the end. But with the climate change happening, it will disrupt that. And we need to address that as an individual or corporate or even financial sector. Addressing climate risk accumulatively is a learning journey that we need to work on it all. And it will add to the complexity of financial literacy.
Absolutely. Who imagined that this would be a factor? But it is. It happened. It might happen again.
Sure.
MashaAllah, I feel like, if I may, you've lived 3 distinct lives. MashaAllah, till now, وربي يعطيك كمان زيادة إن شاء الله. One, which is your life with sustainability and Mashreq. One, which was before the accident. And one, which is your era with the police force. What's your best advice and the best thing you learned in each life?
Balancing our life activity is a necessity. It's not a
Is that
a
a choice?
ledger or a choice. And if we don't do that, it will affect our life eventually. This is one. Two, having more engagement on society activity and philanthropy, or on environment and sustainability on the bigger, broader definition. Not the European Western kind of definition that focus only on environment. No. Human centricity in general is a must-to-do thing. It's not only from our culture or religion. It's a paying forward. 100 years ago, there were regional locations in GCC where people were deserving sadaqah. Now, it's the other way around. So we need to pay forward. History teaches us that wealth and endowment or charity is paying things forward.
Absolutely.
In addition, in our Islamic beliefs, we believe that تمنع مصارع السوء, which means it prevents the bad ending.
Yeah.
In other religion and culture, they call it karma.
Yeah, you
So-
want to call it karma, you want to call it hasanat. It's you're pushing away bad things that would happen because you're putting good in the world.
Yes.
Call it whatever you want to call it. Just do it more.
And delivering sustainable development goals is a national obligation. We cannot depend on the government 100% and we say it's a government job. No, it's not.
It's individual
It comes to
responsibility.
every level in the community, from the children to the families and the parents, to the community overall, to the NGOs, to the government sector and semi-government. And if we look about how we are maturing in that level, we need to engage more and we need to deliver more. And this is paying forward, appreciating and acknowledging the national achievement that we have in the UAE and ensuring it is sustainable for generations to come. I would quote His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed's statement on the World Government Summit in January 2015, I think, when he stated, we must celebrate the last barrel of oil. And that was a very strategic
Very
objective.
powerful, yeah.
Very powerful, ahead of the game, ahead of any fossil fuel-based economy.
Because it's a big part of the economy now,
It
but
is.
it's also one of the big issues long term.
The UAE is already diversifying the economy, but again, from a sustainability perspective, he's the son of the earth champion.
Yes.
And he's the leader of the centennial of the UAE. So he gave a clear strategic objective and direction toward celebrating the last barrel of oil. So we don't wait until we finish oil and then we go back into poverty or becoming underprivileged again. Like what happened, we need to look at our history. When the pearl market was disrupted by creating the artificial pearl in Japan, the economy of pearl was disrupted significantly. And
Forever.
People,
It was changed forever.
And during the World War I or before and after, people were dying from starvation in the region. We shouldn't wait until this happened again. And his message was very clear, setting the North Star or the beacon for us. And as individual, we need to take that message. In addition, his quote in his visit to Korea and Korea and China recently, he said, I would interpret his message. He said, I want you to stick to your religion and culture in parallel with your adaptation of high tech. So he said, if I'm with one of you, I need to learn from them. Check the politeness.
Yeah.
He said, I want to learn from you.
The humble learner.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
AI, emerging technologies, space, nuclear physics, etc. And then you go and collect the wood and you start a fire. So he wants to balance the Bedouin culture and the Arabic generosity with the disrupting technology and spearheading the world when it comes to AI and emerging technologies. And
I love that. It's so beautiful. My final question for you, even though I have so many questions, you've lived such an incredibly diverse life. It's a very simple question, but not very simple to answer. If you had a magic pen that can write any rule, any legislation, any line, any legacy that you would like to leave behind. This pen, you write it, ويصير تم. What would that change be?
Well, it's already happening, but I'll mention it. Using AI in well-being and welfare, specifically the vulnerable groups like children, elders, females, and people of special needs. If we look at the pattern of behavior of neglect or abuse, physical abuse specifically, or domestic violence, we can identify certain pattern of behavior. So if the family father or mother was a drug abuser, the probability amplify exponentially.
The whole family might be affected.
If they were underprivileged family or under poverty line, there is a probability of neglect, or the parent cannot afford providing.
Yeah.
I shouldn't wait until a law enforcer visit.
Yeah, that's
We
too
can
late.
do it proactively. And combining it with our charity, endowment, Red Crescent, etc., we can enable preventing lots of the challenges that we see, not in the UAE, in the world.
Beautiful. Faisal AlShimmari, honestly, as we say, الكلام ما ينمل. You have such lovely stories and insights, and I commend you, and I take off my hat to you for being such a champion for such an important topic, not just in terms of sustainability, but deep down when it comes to the rights of the most vulnerable of us. So thank you so much for that. وأتمنى لك, I wish you all the best, and hopefully that line you wrote with your magic pen will come true, inshallah.
Thank you for hosting me.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.